but another will. 250 metres to go. Changed gears and put up 3 lengths on Fists of Fury. Japanese Empress CR7. This is over. 100 to go. Another will just cruising to the line for Jamie Carr.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I'm joined in studio in the Gold Coast with John Walter. I'm back. Safe territory up here, Queensland. How are you, brother?
I just want to report that you just tried to DAC me pre-show and you may not be back for the next 5 to 10.
DACing is back in 2024. What about you, DK? The DACing thing that you used to do?
The top story for the week, is it? I always keep saying, and never a dull week, never a dull moment in our great sport. And as I was saying then, Scoot took me back to my old mate when Croft. 20 years ago was the last person I heard. Last time I heard of someone being DAC'd when Croft just DAC'd Sam live on the footy show there, and Sam just sat there with his old fella hanging out, and he did get in a bit of trouble for that, Croft. I knew that. Not as much as poor old Todd Belfer, but we'll get to that. How are you, Nico?
Going good. I didn't think that's how we'd start off the show on that note, but it's been a bit of a battle lately trying to find a winner. Hopefully Saturday's a bit easier, but really hot conditions down here, and I think they're probably going to move the races forward as well, which is something you're going to have to take note of in Victoria. They'll probably start at about 11 o'clock or something, so be aware there, punters.
And SA, speaking of SA, not just Todd Balfour DACing the steward, but Murray Bridges a big chance to get called off as well, so we'll give that a little bit of a swerve. Is DACing still a thing when you went to high school, Nico? Obviously, we're a bit older in the tooth. Do you know what it is, and do people still do it at high school?
It wasn't that big, no. It was something you'd get in a lot of trouble for. You saw it a few times, but no, I think it's something of the past, that's for sure. Probably more your vintage than mine.
Something not quite right about that. Huh?
Mate, it was a term of endearment when we were growing up. You did it to your mates, not to someone you didn't like. It was all right. Maybe no one liked me. I used to get DAC'd a lot.
I'd like to know what the full story was, that whole thing, because it said he bought out the breathalyzer at the request of a number of participants, whether they're all pissed, and then said, get it out because we want to see how pissed we are or something like that. I'd like the steward say, I normally breath test jockeys before the races and that. He's pulled out after the races at the request of participants. So, and then this has happened now. He can't remember what he did, poor Todd Belfer, and, taking his livelihood away for 5 years for that, please.
5 years is a very long time. Maybe they should pull the swab back out.
I'd say there's a long way to go. I'd say there'll be appeals and all sorts. It's probably there's a lot more to play out.
It's interesting. It's definitely put racing back on the front or the back page in SA. The big news through the week is, I guess, the climate, the state of, the great game in RaceNet. Adam Dolben's done a good job to interview 4 of the top CEOs. So all the articles that are on RaceNet or punters. It started off with Tristan and TopSport. They reported their turnover dropped from 1.2 billion to 375 million per annum. So that's since 2022. So it's fallen off a cliff, and he's had to do that to remain viable and keep his business open. In that time, I sort of asked him sort of off air. He said that his returns to the industry have halved. So we're at the peak of his powers when he's turning over the 1.2 billion to this current day, he only pays half of the revenue back to industry that he did. So all these changes have been pretty negative on the customers, and then in turn the industry's worse off as a consequence as well. So not great signs for growth from his department.
He's probably at one extreme, right? He's probably right in the middle of the hardest part to operate, that middle tier where you're basically punished the more you hold, especially of people in undesirables, right? Like that middle tier, whereas
So the startups, they're on this tax-free threshold, so they got a $1 million head start, and then you've got Tristan in the middle, and then you've got the Goliaths, which we'll call them TAB, N-Team, which are Ladbrokes and Neds, and then you got Sportsbet up the top of the tree, and it's, I guess the POC was sort of rolled out to try and level the playing field, and TAB are only reporting a small downturn, but they've gone and lost $600 million, and I thought their response from Adam Reichensfield, their CEO, was a little bit lackluster, and it probably wasn't really endearing to punters. N-Team was an interesting response from Dean Shannon. I think they think they're at their outer limit. Obviously, they're on a massive spending spree at the moment with some of their content. They're obviously venturing into Ladbrokes Racing Club, which is interesting content and different stuff. I can't access it, but you've seen that, and that pops up different sort of questions. But I guess they're trying different things, and they've got the New Zealand takeover all happening. So there's been some interesting commentary around some of the things that they're sort of doing. But it's I don't think they're really in a position where they can sort of cry poor because the tap's well and truly on there. And the other article, or the fourth CEO story, dropped today, and this was from Barney Evans. And I thought his response was interesting. You boys may not have had time to read that yet, but the two interesting things that I took out of it was, one comment was, we welcome the competition and choice it gives customers ultimately, and we think that makes the industry more sustainable. So Sportsbet want other people to thrive in the environment, and he says that he wants the smaller players to remain viable for as long as they can, so everyone can invest further into racing. So he reports a year-on-year decline in his marketing and his generosities, and he sort of reports that one of his biggest expenses is the investment in technology, and obviously their softwares was pretty good, and they're obviously trying to do all sorts of things to try and reinvigorate the racetrack, as they did with the basketball and giving away free tickets and all that sort of stuff with their sponsorship. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. But yeah, I can certainly understand what it's done to, I guess, my turnover, especially with TopSport. I asked Tristan, my turnover with them specifically is well below half since the top peak, given the lack of products. And just the pricing model change there. I find myself, I'm probably betting bigger, but I'm having to spread it around and betting on less options. So I'm not attached to the computer all the time, but I'm trying to have more on less amount of horses across less amount of events, which is probably not really what I want to do. I'd rather turn over more and bet as much as I can to try and smooth things out. But yeah, I have to spread it around a bit and be a little bit creative with my turnover. What's your take on them, Walt?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it brief. I think the takeaways for me are that you can't look at Sportsbet Ladbrokes if you're looking at the true picture of the game. And Tristan's probably shown the one extreme, and there's the other. I think sort of the 5 to 10% is not realistic in the year-to-year drop-offs. He's saying 70%. And that's to survive. So I'm thinking somewhere in the middle is probably more realistic. The little guys, as you say, they're just sort of chipping away under the threshold. That's the only way they can survive. They've got no incentive to grow. They're not going to go anywhere until there's a change in legislation or whatever in that threshold. So they'll either disappear or they'll just chip away as they are. And, you know, bonuses, promotions, any change in that landscape is where you'll find a big drop-off from the big guys, and then the little guys will probably disappear. So to me, it makes absolute no sense what the Sportsbet guys said, that he's, you know, encouraging little guys and everything like that. Because for me, that they've not kicked up against these tax hikes because they know that they can withhold it. They can get through it. Whereas, you know, you can see what it's doing to the middle ground. Whereas Tristan, they're just basically, you know, fading away into the shadows. And then one little change, the little guys are gone. All of a sudden, you know, you've got Ladbrokes, Sportsbet, maybe Betfair, who else, Play Up, and that's it. So, you know, I think they're very aware, Sportsbet, that in 2 or 3 years, 5 years' time, there could be 4 bookies left. And, yeah, I think it's pretty... I think between he and the Tab, they've both got mythical answers. If he's saying that he's encouraging little guys, I think that's absolute garbage. And the Tab, yeah, well, that guy just, as I said, I think I wrote something saying, you know, with what he's saying is true, Papa Smurf's going to be their next ambassador, and I kind of believe it because... yeah, it's just absolutely, you know, it's just all made up. It's just completely irrelevant.
I read the Tab response, and it feels like they've given up on being top dog, which, if as a CEO, I think that's pretty defeatist, and it's sort of the wrong angle. If I had to pick someone to steer the ship, I'd probably be leaning towards Barney and then Dean, and then he'd run a clear probably 5th or 6th, and I'd rather Tristan at the helm of somewhere like Tabcorp because he just looks like he's happy to play 2nd or 3rd or 4th fiddle, and it's no surprise that they've dropped well off the top rung. What about your thoughts, DK?
Oh, that's what you've probably said plenty, but I thought that the Tab guy was like he was preaching to his shareholders. public company. He's not going to put any scare stuff amongst the share price or anything like that. So he's there, no, it's all happy days and we're a great company and this is going forward and projections. That's all it's like to me. He wasn't talking to anyone in the racing industry. He was talking to his shareholders, saying everything's rosy and it's all happy days. But so it wasn't the first paragraph. He didn't even say anything about racing. It was how much the younger guys want to start betting on sport. Where Dean Shannon's very heavily racing. At least he's passionate racing, and Ladbrokes are passionate racing. So no, I was just I thought I like Walt's answer. It was just I thought it was drivel, a lot of it. But I thought Tristan and Dean Shannon told the closer to the truth from all those guys. But that's what I expected. I expected Barney to be, when you look at them, what are these for? What are they going to say? And it pretty much lined up, didn't it? Except the tab guy was a bit too much rubbish. When Nico?
I didn't even read them. I was too busy doing form. So that says my take on it.
Be interested to see what washes out. So as the story unfolds and as the different taxation changes come through, especially, I guess, the laser focus will be in July when the POC tax rises again.
For Victoria,
in Victoria, and there's also rumour that it might rise in other states. So stay tuned there. But Victoria and other states will on the brink of becoming less competitive. So we'll update there when we can, and we might have some more news next week about some other stuff. But another one, question of the week, a guy Steve from Twitter has thrown this one in. He tagged us in at Bet Doctor, and it was a fair bit of chat across Twitter, and even your brother Trav was quick on the ball, and it's something that we've spoke about a little bit on the show. But Steve's question from Twitter is, this is in regards to Saturday's markets. I'd be very interested to see what you guys make of Sportsbet opening up almost every favourite significantly shorter than the TAB in early markets. So I think they went up evens, Imperatrice. There was a horse, Stay Focused, in the size produce, when they're not going 2 or 3 rolls under, but they'd be sort of evens on a $2.50 or a $2.70 call. DK used to work at Sportsbet. Do you think it's a differing of opinion? Is it a weight of money thing?
No,
or what are they trying to do here?
It's tech. Like when I go, all they want to invest in was the quants guys, the quants team. And they've obviously come up with an answer. We can claw this much back, as they're trying to claw every coin they can back now with everything else by doing this every week, going up short as we can, because all the recreationals are going to take them in their multis anyway. So we can claw back, if we do that every Saturday, and they would have projections. We can claw back this much, Other people would know, if new people who work there currently. I don't. My bloke's working for him over in the US now, but so you can't really ask him. But that's how it reads to me. And like I said, they're tech's best. It's all. They got rid of all the traders, put their faith all in the mathematics and quants analysis and stuff like that. So they'd be trying to claw back money, to protect their margins and stuff.
You probably don't want to name names, right? Like, I don't know who's really doing it, but it's very prevalent that somebody is shifting short price favourites. It's so easy to manipulate now. Like, you've got 100 bookies, 99.9 of them don't actually do anything. They just press the auto trade and they follow Betfair, and whatever things tumble up and down, everyone kind of knows how it works now. So very easy to shift a price. It's very obvious that recreational gamblers especially love following things that shift in a positive fashion. So it's good business for someone like Sportsbet or whoever it may be. As I said, don't really want to name names. That if someone smart comes on a horse, it's probably a good indicator the horse is going to trend in a certain direction. If they give it a push, all they're going to do is lay a horse shorter than what it is. So it's good business with these opening markets. That's quite incredible what the future markets, to see what they open up. It's just, there's obviously no big difference in barriers or whatever that causes it. It's just, it does seem to be a tactic. And I would imagine, like you say, that they've identified that within the market going up, within half an hour, 20% of it's traded by recreational, and they just take whatever price. So if they put up, 140, they're still going to lay, as much money as they are if they put up 120. So they put up 140. It's just, it seems that they've, as you say, they've got, their software spend is on designing situations like this. It's not on helping turnover or pushing racing. I don't believe it's more about.
It's not really an opinion thing.
No, it's nothing to do with strengthening their analysis or anything like being better bookmakers. It's about, well, they are being better bookmakers. They're laying horses at shorter prices.
Catching them. Yeah, and they have been installing false favourites and since, for forever and a day, but it was quite noticeable yesterday, and will be interesting to see if the pattern continues. So maybe keep your powder dry, and again, if the market's open Wednesday, you got up until Saturday, and especially with changing track conditions and all sorts of things, there's no massive prize, and sometimes you just have to be a little bit more accurate.
There was one horse last week, and I can't remember what it was. The blow-up horse, Straight Acer, was it?
Yep.
And everyone's blowing up saying, well, if it gets to, how did it get to $3 if all the geniuses were tipping it at $2 in the radio in the morning? Well, number one, they've got to tip something.
Yep.
Number two, it's 130. So, everything has to blow reasonably, something, in over time. So, it's just you've got to be a little bit more aware of the environment now. If you're a punter, you've got to seek a little bit of help just to understand it, because 90% of the time horses are going to blow from 9 a.m. till race time, and if you shop well, you're going to get a better price. It's nothing to do with something untoward happening. It's just it has to happen.
And that's the thing, and that's sort of what frustrates me about the market at the moment. The window's shorter because you can't access top fluck like you used to. So we're alienating a lot of turnover and a lot of customers and making them unhappy because they have to sit there and fish out a price. So, for those Straight Acer races, I just put it in the bin because I just don't have time to bet.
If it wins, they're angry. They've taken $2 in the morning and it pays $3.40. If it loses, they're angry because they think something weird's happened. And like you say, that's a product of even products disappearing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the frustration I've got. There's just some races you just leave and you just don't have time to sit around and wait for a better price, so you just move on to the next one and just don't bet at all. Today's show is going to be a beauty. Some great racing this weekend. We've got the Guineas up in Sydney, and we've got Newmarket. So last week was some more heartbreak for poor old Donny. Deferential ran second. It's a Gold Coast feature meeting this week. I know he's upset that it's not on the Syntho. We're back on the grass for the first time since Magic Men's Day, so should be good to see how the track goes. I noticed Peter Lawrence was a bit upset that came up a heavy 8 yesterday or Monday, but we did cop a fair bit of rain Monday, Tuesday. We got washed out a little bit for the last couple of holes of golf, so we've definitely copped our fair share of rain, but it's been on the cook since, and I think it'll be come up a good four anyway, so no dramas betting at the Gold Coast. It was a bit leaderish last time we saw it there. Periel second, Lindemann the place. Lots been said about Fangirl. Did he not see him coming? Nash was back to his best up the fence, quality horse that. And then we had Storm Boy, bit on the chewy, but still made a mess of them anyway. You're going to have a look at the Guineas, which will be a cracker. And then Waller's obviously shifted Espiona up to Sydney, and the futures punters are they were in the fetal position yesterday or last night.
There was a few funny ones. Yeah.
Hey, I was one.
Well, even Jimmy Starr, they came out and said definitely not going to Newcastle, and now he's lining up in Newcastle.
He's going to Newcastle,
because
so he's just coming out.
Victorians were favourite, and there were a couple of plunges. It's a few weird things happening.
The Newmarket's still come up super, super strong. I think Chris Waller's pulled the right rein anyway there. Obviously, I didn't back him. I'm going to have a quick look with the boys on the Newmarket, and I think I found a black booker up at the Gold Coast in a pretty competitive race. TopSport Steamers are on fire. Again, 2 winners from 4 bets, and TopSport have got the best of the best on the Group 1 races. So it's good to see that they're still offering that product, and it's a bet to win $5,000. So customers at that area of the market are still getting serviced by an Australian-owned operator bookmaker who have been trying to boost turnover and service the sharp end of the market. So hopefully we can get some changes to make sure that they're still serviced as well. Still scratching my head and can't wait to hear someone tell me why we can't let all sorts of turnover flourish in Australia. So hopefully I get some answers over the next few days. Got an interesting lunch tomorrow with Walt and someone else as well on that topic. Let's talk Flemington this week. Weather, I assume it's fine and very hot down there, Nico. Race 5 is the first one we're going to have a look at, the Newmarket. I've thrown this one in. I think we need to cover it. And Imperatrice is the horse, $2.60, not evens, as they opened up at the Big Blue Giant. Bonus Notches has been the big mover, $4.80 into $4.40, as much as sort of $8 bet early. Magic Time, $7, Shripper, $12 into 10, Bella Nipotina 11, Cylinder 12, Ruthless Dame 15, Benedetta 15, Master Fay 34, and then your miles out the gate there. And there's some 8 cents worth of deductions for Espiona. A couple of replays we're going to have a look at here. The first one's the Lightning Stakes. So you've got Imperatrice holding off Private Eye, Bella Nipotina's there, Espiona and Cylinder are all there. What are your thoughts about this one, Nico?
Yeah, I think Imperatrice probably just got the job done here. I think she might have been better suited at a bit of a faster run race. Private Eye really served it up to her. Espiona was the big sort of flashing light out of the race, and I think Bella Nipotina probably will improve out to 1,200 metres with a pretty soft draw. So, look, you couldn't really knock that win too much, I didn't feel. And I think going into Saturday, the only real knock is the weight. If it was more of a compressed weight scale, I think we'd be talking about her potentially as an even money chance, but you're getting that enhanced price just because she's got to carry 58 kilos. But if you look back through the history of the race, horses at her sort of level that are, real Group 1 stars, they can do it. Obviously, there's not everything in her favour on Saturday, but the class of horse she is, I think she can do it. I think 58 kilos is it's not going to hold her back too much, and the way the race will work out, I think it could be quite good for her. There doesn't look a whole heap of speed, and she'll probably get one of the runs of the race. So I think you're going to have to come and catch her. Buenos Noches looks a big chance with the blinkers on for the first time. This was a run that probably suggested he's going to peak in the Newmarket. He did get a long way back here, flew home. Yeah, I thought it was quite a good effort, but you look back through his form throughout the spring, he ran second to Imperatrice in the VRC Sprint Classic. I think he's going to cop a pretty similar race shape on Saturday to what he copped there. I think the real question mark is he actually good enough to beat her? He does strike me as a bit of a B grader, like just looking at this run. I know he had a lot of work to do, but he still ran fourth. You'd think if you put her in a similar sort of situation, she probably would have won it. So, yeah, the weight's going to be a big factor in the race, but I still think she'll be too good. I'm probably more inclined to back her than not on Saturday.
It gets a 3 kilo weight swing when they met last time. The other one we'll have a quick look at is the Oakley Plate. Nico's horse, Shrepper, was a big run. We sent it for the syndicate, but Q-Man was the other horse that you found out of the yard. Shrepper flies home here. You got Benedetta in the black and the orange. Historically, the Oakley Plate, I think it's a sneaky little, nice little lead up. The 1100 into the 1200 Newmarket sort of works out, and Shrepper's got form up the straight. I just not sure that he can afford to be slowly away and still reel these in. You can't make those sort of mistakes at this level, can you, Nico?
Yeah, well, that was the thing there. He cost himself missing the start, so it wasn't really a bad ride or anything. It was very circumstantial. As soon as he missed the start, it was race over for him. So, yeah, he ripped home in some big closing sectionals, but when does it sort of end for him? He's been up all spring, raced all through the summer DK, and now he's, getting deeper into the autumn. Can he produce another, big effort on Saturday? He's probably going to have to produce a career best to win it.
It's an interesting one. Buenos Noches, I'm not surprised there's been money for him. I thought I saw maybe a slight lameness or he might have lost a plate as well on that first up run. That could be my imagination, or I might be getting confused, but I thought that was the perfect barrier trial for a race like that, and I'm not surprised the market sort of gone the way it has. The $8 look massive, but now sort of at the $4.40, $4.85 mark, it's looking closer to right.
Talk me at a magic time being unbeatable.
I sort of had a feeling that you might say this, but if you have a look at ratings, the way she won in the autumn, this looks like a perfect sort of setup. She was great in this Rupert Clark. 53 kilos.
My only concern is that it could be a replay of last week with Estrella and Caballas, the draw. So I just don't... The straight track drives me insane, that she's sort of drawn out there and might get stuck in the wrong spot and the right horses will be down towards the inside. That's probably the only thing that scares me, but I think she's the best horse in the race. She's getting 5 kilos off probably arguably the other best horse in the race, and it's 118 from 24. I'm probably being an idiot at this stage, but I think she's potentially got as much ability as Imperatrice is what I'm trying to say, and you get 5 kilos off her, and she's a horse she just profiles exceptionally well for this race for me. If everything was equal, I think she'd win.
There's a couple of you're either going to just be tied to Imperatrice and think she's a champion, like Nico is that's his line of thought, or you're going to be hunting around Bundes Notches, Magic Time, Sharippa. Some people are making a case for Cylinder. I can't quite see that sort of angle. And then I think other horses outside of the market are lesser of a chance. Bella Nipotina, the forgotten horse, but there's a couple of different ways to play this, but. I think the market looks pretty close, but Magic Time, it was. The Sir Rupert Clark win was absolutely dominant. The way she won it, given how the track was playing, she just put a complete hole in him.
Yeah, and she's just a really dangerous horse. It's and they've obviously got the setup over Imperatrice and Bundes Notches. I'm a bit with whether he's an A grader or not, but he obviously blinkers on set for the race. It looks like going to peak, all that sort of stuff. But I just think it's not in the same world as Magic Time and Imperatrice's talent. So.
I thought he was half of a give, Bundes Notches in the Everest. So if you want to go back and have a look at that replay, I think he got checked at some sort of stage, but he just has a bit of a sense of timing.
I'll talk about that when we get to Sydney. There's a case that all that form's pretty steady. All the Everest form's pretty steady. So, Espiona wasn't well set up going into that race, so it's going to be interesting. I'll talk about it, as I said, later. But Imperatrice comes away from that form, and so does Magic Time. So, interesting.
Well, hopefully we've graded everyone up with the Newmarket, so good luck trying to pull apart that and have a bet based off that. But everyone's got their own angle and they sound pretty confident, so do your best with what we've displayed there. And we're going to go straight into race 6, the Kewney Stakes, and Molinikas is the favourite here with TopSport, $2.90, Autumn Angel $5, Grinziger Bell $5.50, Sassy Boom $9.50 in from 15, French Endeavour $9.50, So Glamorous $11, Sarasana $13, and you're getting much bigger the rest. A couple of replays we're going to have a look at here. The first is Autumn Angel at Caulfield, Nico.
Yeah, I think Billy just went looking for the best ground here. It was a day where the fence was definitely advantaged. He might have known that early in the day. He's a good track walker and it just didn't get the luck here. Autumn Angel's back last now. Gee, she absolutely flies home. I don't think she could have come home any faster the last 200 metres. Relative to the day, it was quite fast. And then you look through probably just the last 100 metres here where she just comes back into the screen now, and then her work through the line. She was pretty dynamic. I think she's going to run a big race here, second up. You look back through her form last campaign, she beat Tropical Squall. That seems to be measuring up well. I think she just looks like a Flemington horse, DK. That was probably the big takeaway I've found with her. Like, she's had runs around Moonee Valley, Cranbourne, Caulfield. Like, getting to a big track looks a massive positive, I thought.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's the first up run you want to see. That's what I base a lot of my stuff around, that, then into them second up, out to their right trip, onto a bigger track, rider change, a lot of positives.
Oh, the other race we're going to have a look at is the Vanity, and this has got Grinzinger Bell and French Endeavour, horses like Molly Knickers.
Yeah, this race is rated much better.
Because of the tempo. It's completely opposite race shape, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I think you have to factor that in. It's a tough win by Grinzinger Bell. Probably had the pattern in favour. Molly Knickers, I just would have loved if she had a beat off French Endeavour here. She was the quickest for the two of the race, and she may have just peaked the last 200 metres, but that was probably the slight grey up for mine, that French Endeavour's, beat her for second there. I think one of the Moody horses will win. Like, I think it's that kind of race. And if you go looking a bit further, like Grinzinger Bell was $12 there. She's probably going to need everything in her favour again. And I just think Autumn Angel, Molly Knickers, like, you could make a real case that Autumn Angel could be one of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country of what we saw last campaign. Like, she probably should have gone closer to beating Griff in the Start Stakes than she beats Tropical Squall. I think 1,600 metres plus. Like, she's a real threat in the boys or the girls division. Like, she'd be running well in the Randwick Guineas on Saturday, you would have thought, and she could tackle the boys in the Rosehill Guineas. I'd probably not do that and head to the Vinery, but she's a real talent.
Yeah, just I've got to say it has to be said. I mean, if one of these two can't win, I mean, he's cast, Moody. He's cast, like, results-wise. Like, while you're looking it up, Nico, like, that thing yesterday, Quickster, like, what was it, $1.40? It's won by a Pimple. He had a $1.22 chance go round at Colac on Friday. It won by a Dead Set Pimple. There's another $1.30 chance early in the month that got beat. I think they're 5 winners from, are they something like 5 winners from their last 50 or something?
Yeah.
And 2 of them have been $1.30 chances that won by a Pimple. untold numbers of favourites, horses in the market getting beat. I mean, it's only the bloke's still out there spending $2 million at the English yearling sales. He's got the second most expensive bloodstock in the state behind Kirima. So it's peaks and troughs, and he's absolutely in a trough at the moment. I don't know what you think about that, Nico, but I think I've seen other people being mentioned it has to be so. I'll play him into form here because every time I pot someone on here, I go and pot him. I'm helping you out because they'll go and quinola the race now. But gee whiz, for a stable with, all $200,000-$300,000 average yearling horses, he's cast at the moment.
Yeah, I did some sort of research into it early in the spring last year of just how their horses were being prepared, sort of saw a few things in the yard. And if you go back through stats, they're definitely peaking deeper into the campaign. Like, they're not there first up. They're not a first up
Which that used to be out when he was at Caulfield in the old days. That was his always go. They were always ready to go, weren't they?
Yeah. So that's just what the stats are backing up at the moment. So, yeah, you get those Pakenham jump outs, which are hard to read because you can't even see half of them. And then you get them first up in races, where they go around pretty short. So I think the big tick for his 2 runners on Saturday, they're both second up. That's stats-wise when they do.
I think that's one of the points. Someone did, I think whether it was Jacko or someone that said, can't completely cast first up, don't want to touch him. And that's, but second up, different kettle of fish. And these are big races. So we'll see how we go, see if we can play him into form.
It was interesting. I think you guys are on the money here, and I'd be interested in Walt's take on it because Molly Knickers was absolutely enormous in the flight stakes and arguably should have won that one with a fair run, and that's the Tropical Squall form. She's come out and won first up. Where do you there's just a funny lot at the moment, the 3-year-old fillies. What you got?
I had a good look at both of them, and he sort of talked about who do you want to back in a mile second up? One that's come out of a fast run race and look to peak, or one that come out of a slower run race and spread it up for 400 metres.
Barrier trial.
Yeah, but you've got, at least she's got 2,000 metre form, Autumn Angel, right. and then you've got to factor in, like what Nico's saying, deeper into their prep and then how the stubble's going. But I'm always very careful, which I'm sure everyone here is, of you're talking about sort of favourites at Pakenham and then talking about Group 1 races, and even if the stable's out of form around the grounds, they tend to get their target horses right, don't they? So, like, you got to Roll on High went like a rocket in Sydney last week, and that week was first up and unsuited. And obviously, these two horses did enough first up. So, it's a scary stable to chime into, but you'd think if they're going to get any horses right, it's these ones. Geez, it's scary. Even is Grinzinger Bell forgotten, or was it just that on pace or something? Because it did all the work in that race the other day, went 100 mile an hour and kept going, and it was first up.
It was a big win first up. For a first up, it was a big effort.
It was the best run in the race, definitely. But can she replicate that again up to a mile? And maybe, she did have a pattern in favour, and I think the winds were suiting the on paces that day as well.
She had a new string to her bow. Like, she had the lead at Moonee Valley when she let up and nearly beat Skybird. But that was a soft, dictated J-Mac, wasn't it? Just walked and sprinted home. That was a real, to roll the whole race the other day. The mate to work for the front and didn't get a spell. It's a big win.
I think if she does that again, it brings in Autumn Angel. Like, if it's that fast run mile, like best sort of horse that's getting out over distance.
That's the other thing about Molly Knickers and Autumn Angel. They aren't the best beginners. I mean, that's one of the reasons that they're both out the back first up. They're both grubby out of the gates. And if you go back and look through their careers, both of them, they're not the best beginners. That one, but when Tropical Squall and whatever it was in Sydney, it was last on the fence there because it's still an average beginner, I wonder if Grinzinger Bell can get a march on them.
Oh, yeah. I can't see many holes in the market. And I think, you probably have to have a good look at 5 and 4, the numbers that you guys suggest before you dive into the shorts at $2.90. Molly Knickers, I think she's priced off maybe one run off that. They're trying to suck in a bit there.
I haven't seen him ride as bad as Autumn Angel got, if that's what you want to call it, first up for a long time.
Like, but it flew to start. Sydney, he didn't put it full back on the rail. It put itself there.
But he stayed there for a long time. He stayed there for a long time. Yeah.
I don't think that was much intent at all.
It was it was a shocker. But, it's not a race that I could get. Yeah, everything we've sort of said makes sense. It's just a bit of a head scratcher for me.
Not a race that you want to set your day around, I wouldn't have thought. But
the next one is, though.
The next one's an absolute steamer. Flemington Race 7, the Shaftsbury Avenue Handicap. Good to have an old horse's name up on there.
They've finally taken that thing out of the market, finally, did they?
They did. One of your old horses. Amenable $2.35, Berkshire Shadow $3.30, Savannah Cloud $5.50, Pinstripe $6, Windstorm $18, Von Hawk $19, Broden Star $20, 21 Wild Planet. Amenable, we're going to have a look at his jump out, and Trav just chimed in here, and he basically said if Nico doesn't tip this horse, he doesn't deserve to be on the show, and he was just going to take your gig.
Steam.
Yeah, a bit of pressure. Straight to lead here in the jump out in the lime. Been gelded this preparation. It just seems like he's come back a better horse. This Pinstripe's in the white behind him. You know, you would have thought of last spring there's probably not a stack between them, and he's just absolutely murdered him here.
Old mate Skinny Dip keeping up with Pinstripe there for a bit.
Yeah, so Rockford and a few others. So I don't think he could have jumped out any better. He had a jump out before that where he probably just went just as good. Yeah. So he looks like he's come back really well this campaign. He was a huge winner first up last campaign where he beat, I think 6 or 7 subsequent winners in that race with Devoted and Carini. And then he went to the Memsey. He was slow away out of the barriers, but he flew home in the quickest closing splits of the race. And I think off those jump outs and the way the stable's talking him up, he's been gelded. Like, there could be a chance this horse has improved maybe a length or two. I don't think that would be out of the realms of possibility. So Jimmy Star comes out of the race. It completely opens it up for him. Pinstripe doesn't really look there to play off what we saw in the jump out. Berkshire Shadow, I think he's not there to play either, off what we saw in the jump outs as well. He looks like he wants to...
Oh, it's a head scratch for me, what price it is in the market. I mean, if you have a look at its jump out, I mean, a 3,000 metre horse out punched it in a 1,200 metre jump out. Like those 1,200 metre jump outs are for slow horses. And then this, whatever that thing at the Tiakau horse, who's a 3,000, we ran in the Jericho.
Oh, Prismatic.
Yeah, Prismatic. Actually, it wasn't a bad run first up. It's going to win a race. But it is a 3,000 metre horse. He out punched it in the jump out. I mean, I know, look, if it's a horse I knew, I know it's from overseas and it's a bit of, if it was on you, I would say there is no possible way you could see it beating Amenable, but it's obviously got a little bit of class factor, but my God. The gaps between the Amenable's trials and its trial, like seriously, and one's 230 and one's 330, like please.
Yeah, I think you can probably bank on Amenable running right up to his best first up or if he's jumping.
Well, that's right. He's a bomb fresh. He flies fresh. His first start in a race is a big win at Sandown. Every fresh run he's had no luck. Moonee Valley one, they had no luck. Or he won like he did in that good race at Caulfield. Like he's a bomb fresh. And, a bit head scratch for me if Berkshire Shadow got near him on the weekend.
Do you like anything in this race, DK?
DK's got the truck in reverse. Beep, beep,
then the racing.com bloke wants to go to Jamie Lovett and say, oh, yeah, we've had something on this, We're all holding nice each-way tickets in the early market at $15 because, it worked with Nugget or something the other day. Like, how do you get an article out of content? That's what they call content these days.
Berkshire Shadow should be express out in the market. I think it needs a mile or further. I think you guys are...
Shout out to Matty, the cricket trader. It's one of his in his portfolio.
In his camp.
It's in his portfolio.
I'd be surprised if this horse doesn't start odds on and punters will just be launching multis into it and then out of it. I think this will be a real make or break day for the bookmakers because everything will go in, and then if you like horses later on the day up at the Goldie or Randwick, punters will just be going both ways to multi the absolute yin-yang out of this horse. Yeah, I think you guys are absolutely spot on. So I
just wish Jimmy was in the race.
Jimmy is star. And Amenable will just go straight past it. Yeah. Is he a chance? Is he a chance to go on the back up and go into the All-Star Mile? They're probably are they full field yet? The All-Star Mile.
Mate.
Have you been asked to run in the race, DK?
You got a pension home.
Ask Walt. Walt's the All-Star Mile, man.
Mate, there's some chance. Like, what are they? Who's down at that? What is it? The Legends thing? They might just go to that farm and load the truck up. Might be the only way they get some excitement if Zipping runs around. Or Zipping passed away. I can't remember. I think it did. Poor bugger. But they might fill her up.
Well, it's lucky. they've entered Cascadian. Now we've got a race.
He's one step away from the Legends farm, but at least he's still got a bit of life in his legs.
Nearly won it last year. And then come out and bloody won the Australia Cup, nearly won the all-aged. That's how strong Weight for Age is going at the moment in Australia. Walt, we'll save some All-Star Mile for next week, but it is a race that we've all been waiting for. And what we're all been waiting for is, or will be waiting for, is Nico's Mounting Yard Mail. So each Wednesdays, Saturdays, you can get all of it via Telegram, and his final thoughts will be very, very important, given it's a very hot day. Some horses will go to pieces, so you need his Telegram service.
Waiting for Magic time, fat as a pig, needs a run, parading like a camel. I'm waiting for that just to deflate my whole life. Yeah, but
so G-Beg was very upbeat on radio driving in this morning. So, Walt, if that helps you.
If I say that, he'll probably win the way I'm going. So.
His horses present good, don't they, G-Beg? Aren't they? Some of the picks of the yard?
He's a gun, G-Beg.
G-Beg.
Always got good condition on him.
Yeah, well, he's one that they always look good.
Nico always gets through the full card of racing too, so he doesn't go halfway home and then spits the toys there. So he'll be doing all races at Flemington on Saturday. Okay, up to Randwick.
Me.
Well, because it's going to be hot weather, so he'll be there. That's why I say that. Randwick race 7, we're just going to go straight into the topical one just to upset all the futures punters. The Canterbury Stakes. Think about it, $1.85. Espiona $3.60. Pericles $6.50. Lady Laguna $9. Hole Crusher $10. Malkovich $26. Bandersnatch $51. Small fields up in Sydney. Bit of a worry, but let's have a look at a couple of the replays. The first thing we're going to have a look at is Think About It's trial. Walt.
Yeah, so these are the second trial. These are 2 800-metre trials. Nothing exciting really happens here, to be honest.
It's interesting. I guess he may be a little bit vulnerable. He's obviously trying to stretch him out to 1,600 metres. Good to see Gelding try something a little bit different. If it was an Ento, he'd be retired. But Joe Pride wants to know if he can win a mile race and then maybe even a Cox Plate with his horse.
Yeah, and that's kind of what race is this?
Well, this is we've already seen Espiona have the squirt out, but here's Think About It in the Everest.
Yeah, okay. And then, so Espiona's back in the middle there in the white cap
trying to get off
inside
heels.
But most important thing here is she gets the squeeze in hip and shoulder late and doesn't get room to move. But she's 14 back to 12 there in a slow run, muddling, ugly ass, Class 1 Everest. So what is that form? Look at it. It's like the Flying V, even through the line. So I wouldn't be using that. And I think that's what the market's done, is drawn a line through that race as to why the market is the way it is here. And it won a first up 1,200 last time. Hawaii 5-0 was fatter than me and ran it to a head. It sat third the fence, squirted through, got the best run you've ever seen. I think Bella Nipotina missed the start and finished on its heels.
This is Think About It we're talking about.
This is Think About It, last prep. So there's some, and he's got an incredible record, but he's PR, and obviously that's, a quality of a good horse that he can be adaptable and get the right run and whatever a lot of the time. So
Barrier 8, Clippo.
Yeah, and this race, you've got 2 horses that are rubber stamped, going to go crazy. Like Malkovich, they let him run last start and he improved. So they're not going to go against that. Blinkers on Coal Crusher 7 days back up, third up. Joe Pride. Like, I can't see him dropping the what do they call it? Dropping the anchors in front. Like these two are going to put on a good speed, and then all of the horses that are sort of drawn middle are going to hold their spot. So like Bandersnatch and Lady Laguna, Pericles, they're going to hold their spot. So Think About It's got to be last, you would imagine.
Have to be. It's
going to have to come around them and make a long run. Espiona's going to be back there giggling. And if it gets the run that I think, this is at Nashua, J-Mac Road last prep, where it sort of just waited, tracked up, got through late. I like how she's not favourite. I've got absolutely no idea. I think, I don't know, maybe she can't start favourite, but I think she should. Lady Laguna and Coal Crusher, I think, are the danger. I actually don't know how Think About It can win. And if he does, Joe's a great trainer and the horse is a better horse than I think it is. But I think he's got everything possible against him here. Sammy Clipperton is about a 1 in 20 rider as a rule. He rides this horse extremely well, but surely weight of average has got to catch up there too. So I think he's got everything against him on Saturday. If he overcomes it, he's a better horse than what I give him credit for.
Yeah, I think Espiona is the value in the market for sure. I've got a little punting form top 4 performers algorithm that just comes free with the puntingform.com.au program, and you can personalize your top 4 performer rankings on variables that you sort of like. And Espiona ranks 52, and the next horse is at 20, and the next horse after that 18, and then Think About It's down at 12. So that for me is just an auto bet, Espiona. And I think everything suggests to me Barrier is the cherry on top, that Think About It's only going to be out there for a look. And there's a few others that want the Group 1 or just a properly screwed down. So I tell you what, in the Betfair lay competition and think about it, just could be my lay of the weekend. Nico and DK, any thoughts around this one? Obviously, you're crying into your wheat bix about Espiona in the Newmarket, but I think Uncle Chris has chosen the right race here.
Yeah, I'm not sold.
Well, it's because of the heat, isn't it? That's the main reason. He didn't want to run in 38 degrees.
Yeah, maybe, but he's just a proper horse, isn't he? Think about it. He just knows how to win. That's probably her knock. Like, she's a bit hit and miss. First up run was great. Thought she paraded great. May have come back, near her best this campaign, but I think 1300 is a good kickoff for him. I think he'd probably be more vulnerable in a 12, but 13, he can probably show his class a bit late. Look, it's not a race I've done in depth, and obviously lean to Volt in these sort of races, but I kind of think he's a really hard horse for me to just sink the boots into, to be honest. I think he's just got immense amount of talent.
Group 1 DK?
No, like Nico, no. We've got Ararat. What was today? Kyneton, Pakenham. What else? What's tomorrow?
It's a big weekend. Edenhope, Towong, Stony Creek,
Echuca. No, I haven't ventured.
Out wide DK, he's going to be doing a lot of work.
Haven't ventured into North Korea. Sorry, Scoot.
Keep yourself fresh for that. Let's look at the second guineas of the season, the Randwick Guineas, race 8 over the mile. Militarise is $2.10 favourite here. Celestial Legend $4, Tom Kitten $7.50, NCAP $8, Levampires $14, Gambare 19, Fukubana $20, $21 CO Wolf, and then you got Decas 31, and that sort of rounds out the major chances. Let's have a look at a couple of replays here. First one, Militarise, he's sort of just getting revved up, and this is the day that Fangirl just goes straight past them. So, to my eye, this is a 1400 metre Apollo. I thought he's already looking for 1600, maybe even 2000 might be his peak this time around. Old Militarised.
Yeah, look at them all on the inside. Like they're not. None of the Lindeman's getting no room to move. Cascading's getting no room to move.
Look at that.
Whatever that thing is off his back, I don't know what he's called. Boot Scooter or something. What's his name? Bandolero, Bond or something. I don't know. What's his name? Buckaroo. He sort of takes a bit of ground off him late. I thought he was really disappointing there. I do think that they've targeted this race as in blinkers on in trial, blinkers on there. He'll improve, and he was out-sprinted by one of the fastest, closing mares we've seen in the last 10 years. So it's not as if he's gone terrible, but it's a pass mark for me.
Oh, okay. Let's have a look at bit better than a pass mark, and this is Celestial Legend.
So he was lucky enough to sort of land a spot that looked unlikely after the first 200 metres of the race here, but then he got keen and stuck inside heels, and he sort of didn't travel at the 600 metre mark, and then it's all about, for me, this last 200 metres. I've explored this 3-year-old form very heavily, way too heavily, gone way deep dark into the dungeon on 3-year-old form, and I think they're all 3 humpers behind it. And but his last 200 metres there just was. I thought he might be vulnerable second up 1400, and a few things went wrong. I'm not saying he beat the best horse in the world there, and Militarise has the weight for age form that he's got to overcome this time. But I thought the last 200 metres there was just pretty incredible. And the Chris Waller, I put my X-Files tin hat on and thinking, Chris Waller sits in his undies and does the barrier draws for these races.
You don't.
And Militarise lands 4 and Celestial lands 11, and you think to yourself, should I jump off the gap now or wait till Saturday? But it definitely brings them closer together in my eyes. But we're probably going to get $5 now, and we may have got $3.20. So yeah, it's a weird map where if Karen sort of pushes forward and jumps well from that outside draw, it's just him and NCAP are probably they're 50-50 to get in. I think if he gets in, he wins. If he doesn't and he has to give a start to Militarise, it may be a different story, because I do feel like it's a kitchen sink job for Militarise. I think this is the race he's targeted, even though it's second up a mile. Devil's advocate, if it doesn't begin well, which it has done on occasion previously, it is jumping better now, he could end up sort of fall back the fence.
Who?
Militarise.
It's got J-Mac on it.
That's the problem, right?
He won't do that.
That's the problem.
He knows the game.
You got to take him seriously, but I'm still happy to, at worst, mark them the same price, and we're going to get double the price Celestial Legend. So I'm going to go down with the ship and And probably this is a cupboard job for me because McAvoy, that first 400 metres, if it turns out like it did last race, I'll jump out of the cupboard to have a look. But otherwise, I'll be fully entrenched in the cupboard here. I think he's the best horse in the race.
We'll be head-to-head on that one. I can't jump off Militarised just yet. I thought his last 100 was beautiful in the Apollo Stakes. And J Mac, barrier 4, he'll just sit in front of this horse and only bad luck will beat him. Nico?
Yeah, Team Militarised thought he maps well, and I like J Mac going on as well. I think it's a big, not a massive jockey change, but I think it's a positive for the horse. Just probably can get a lot out of him from that inside draw. So, yeah, I was with him. The Legend horse, though, that was a big win last start, like running away from him that last 200. There's definitely no doubt he's a good talent. What do you think about him over further? Like, could he get to 2,000 metres?
Well, I wasn't sure, but I'm sure he'd be the same. When they do things wrong in the run and do that to horses, like you can't see anything reversing the form on them, even though NCAP sort of sat wide. And, you just love to see horses do things wrong, have things go against and find the line and be strong. And that's usually the great sign, isn't it, that they're going to step up in distance. He doesn't look like a 2,000 metre horse, but you can't say no. I definitely think he'll run a mile, which is obviously the main worry this week. And maybe Militarised needs that 2,000, whereas he, I think, will be a little bit sharper.
I think if he's already looking for 2,000, I think it's the best chance Celestial has to beat him.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the case. You'd love that Mr. Waller's over prepared Militarised and taken a bit of the freshness out of him. That would be ideal.
Well, there's that big 2,000 metre race further down the track up in Sydney that maybe that's his grand final.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
From a breeding perspective, they'll want to win this race.
Okay, beautiful. All right, that's that race. So split there, but fair bit of confidence from both camps. Us and
You'd be surprised if something beat them, right? And actually, I'll probably mention Lunatic Ed's got the thing down the bottom. This Cosmic Lad, right? It's 100-1. It went barrier trial at Canterbury. Got some things to suit at Newcastle, went like a rocket. Then they took it to 1900. It sort of things went wrong. It ended up in front. He's freshened it up. It's trialled half like a lawnmower, so I'm probably 50-50 whether it's Cactus or not, and it's an ex-prep horse. But it's a horse that you could definitely throw in your sort of exotics. If you're sort of taking the line like I am, that a lot of this 3-year-old form's very steady, a horse that's potentially going to be strong and it's 100-1, I'd be throwing it in everything. Cosmic Lad with the winkers and the crossover going on.
Quaddy numbers. Scooty's quaddy numbers.
Just in case.
There's a real weird angle, that one. Cosmic Lad, but that's just a coming special. That's what they love to do. Racingwatch.com.au in the Discord channel.
We're not talking about the Todman?
Oh, okay. We'll talk about the Todman.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Not really tipping anything, but this is actually one that's interesting from your...
Straight Charge, $2.50 favourite. Switzerland, $3.70. Espionage, $4.40. Shangri-La Express, $7.50. Bodyguard, $9. They're the major chances. Espionage looked only there for a look last time, and he really surged, I thought, the last 100 of his race. First up.
And it was what? It was like 5-2, 5-2, 7-2 Switzerland pre-barrier draws. And do you say gate 1's better for Straight Charge than gate 10 is for Espionage? One goes from 350 to 270, the other goes from 350 to 450, and you'll probably get better. And I would have thought that Espionage got the better of the draws. So, I know that Tim would rather be drawn 10 than 1. So, does Shangri-La take the drop, I'd say, and National Cruiser cross outside it? The probably main query for Espionage is the old head on a stick, which is Nash, 56 kilos. It's not often that Gay lets any rider ride them half over. So that's a good sign of how much she thinks Nash is worth to the horse. So, but he'll still be wasting pretty hard to ride it. So, yeah, that's probably the main factor for me. But I don't think there's much between them. And I think Switzerland, it's just a great race. You'll find out how good Switzerland is getting deeper into the prep. If it gets near the 2 Waterhouse horses again, it's a bit like think it over. It's a better horse than I think it is. But I think Gaze will control it and race really well. If you get $5 Espionage, I think you've got to bet. And I think Straight Charge is a better horse and probably will win, but it's getting to a silly price.
I just thought the last 100 metres, especially first up, I thought Espionage, he just sort of pulled himself for that last 100 metres, where Straight Charge, I'm not convinced he can go that fast. Over
an auto bet for you, Espionage.
Over 1,200 metres. Well, yeah, I think just by default I'm going to have to back it. But I love Straight Charge as a horse, but it's a big question mark. Can he go that quick over 1,200? And me, not sure. But
the other
I love
question
his
mark
action.
is about the last 10 meetings in New South Wales that have had good fours. The fence has been off. Whether something's going on there or not, no one will ever find out because no one ever says anything. But that's obviously a query for straight
track.
charge too. If the fence is smelly, even though the weather looks like it's pretty solid leading in, they've just like Warwick Farm yesterday smelly. Last week obviously smelly in town, so that's a factor.
There's just this watering phenomenon going on in New South Wales.
If things line
Everything's
up, you could
shifty.
dead set be Chipsy and Espionage here. Like if the fence is off early and you're getting 450 plus, I'd be betting.
All right, Nico, any thoughts these 2-year-olds or no opinion?
Oh no, great race. It's pretty much like the slipper without Stormboy, isn't it? So this is going to be one of the main form references. But yeah, I think Espionage can improve. You just saw him early in that race. He had to work to keep straight charge out, and he come back, gave him a bit of a head start, and was strong late. So this is probably the right day for him. But if straight charge puts him away here, he's going to be a real chance against Stormboy in the slipper. So I think it's shaping up as probably the race of the autumn, the slipper. It's going to be great.
And how good is it that you got like horses like Duvana? There'll be horses down in Melbourne too that are racing in the size or whatever that you're just looking at them going, how good is this horse going to be? Switzerland, 6 to 12 months. It's exciting for me that we're talking about the 3-year-olds being pretty steady, and I can't imagine that being the case in 12 months' time, which is exciting.
2-year-old's going to be good. Racingwatch.com.au for more Johnny stuff. You can get the Telegram group or the Discord channel, and we'll be doing a little kick stream on Saturday.
Yeah, no, we've abandoned ship because I'm going graft and corruption lunching with you tomorrow. I was going to do Friday as well, but I'll do Saturday only. And I'll probably kick off early because Melbourne's going to be over and done with early, isn't it? And there's some good racing down there.
So you'll be there for the Newmarket, you reckon?
I'll be there for the Newmarket. I'll be nude if Magic Time's swooping. Nude.
I've already seen him in his undies, so I wouldn't rule that out. Gold Coast this weekend, they got the dual day out there, as I said, so they're back on the grass for the first time. I'm expecting a good 4 track. Little shout out to the Mr. Racing crew, and those boys are going that good that they're sponsoring a race. So they've got John Rambo. They've got a couple of runners, so they're doing a good job at the moment. So check them out.
How do we get a Little Birdie
Mr. Racing
suit? Can we go head to head like in the suit race or something down the straight? That'd be awesome.
Have to get a little mascot there. So good luck to those guys. Obviously a big thing for, I guess, a company their size, like our size, but they're having a real big crack. If they're sponsoring the race and they're buying a couple of horses, they're doing a good job. So they're Queensland punters doing their best. So good luck to Mark and Matt with the Mr. Racing thing.
Good fellas.
Good fellas, and that's what we need. Lots of these guys coming out of the woodwork and promoting racing, and they're obviously doing well, educating punters as well. Gold Coast Jewel Day, God, there's some deep cards, so there'll be more action in our Little Birdie Syndicate stuff once we can get through the program. But some of the fields are absolute behemoths, full field, 18 horses, and it's sort of like a mini Magic Millions Day. Not quite the quality, but hopefully the track can play really well. And as we said before, some of those shorter distance races, just be careful. Still maybe a little bit on pace there. First, or the only race I'm going to have a look at here is Gold Coast Race 4. And it's an 1,800 metre race. It's the Gold Coast Stakes. And Daytona Bay is the favourite here with 60 kilos, $2.35. Red Top 550. Southern Stock, $8. Kiss Sum, $8.50. Indian Dreamer, $9. Wapiti, $9.50. C Rated, $12. Little black booker that I've got here is Red Top. I think this horse is just peaking at the right time here. She's in the Tony and Madison Sears colours, and it's the horse with the green and yellow cap. You got the stablemate here, Gold Deal, on the inside. It's had a much softer run, but CJ Graham had to set this horse alight really early in the race. So she's made a massive 800-metre run, and I just didn't think she was entitled, or this horse, sorry, he was entitled just to keep kicking there and to only go down a length after that wide, long searching run. I thought that was an amazing effort for this. So
did DK just fall off the perch there in the background?
DK might have collapsed and died in the studio. We just heard a big bang. Nico's down and out. Not sure what's happening there, but I'm hoping bookies are down and out with this one. So they bet around $7 for this runner. Loves 1,800 metres, looking for the extra distance. There's a bit of a query on a couple of these horses. Daytona Bay, it's got 60 kilos and has to run out the 1,800. I thought it was only average last time. Horse that picks my interest and could be another danger I just don't know if it wants 1,800 metres as Kiss Some. I thought it's slowly getting back to some of its old form. Thoughts at 1,800 Kiss Some?
That's the Tracy Bartley horse.
Yeah.
Tracy Bartley's
comes out of the
Thunderlet's
Time Quest form. So all that form is pretty solid. The benchmark 78 form down in Sydney. But
he's just
1,400 to 1,800 metres. Ash Morgan Barrier 1.
Yeah, I like backing Tracy's horses when Tracy's horses are winning races. And at the moment, they're not really. So when you got a query on one of his doing something, plus they're not in, peak form, you wouldn't be surprised if it bobbed up and beat you, but you'd be you wouldn't lose sleep at night if it did, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's pretty well found at 850. The horse has been going out at massive odds.
He's our next English digital purchase, I reckon. Kiss Some.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, we can't.
It just went up 40%.
Exactly. You've just added another 30,000 talking about it on this show.
He doesn't sell very often, Trace.
DK will be sending it up north. But India Dreamer is the other probably danger. It was a pretty good run off a bit of a break there in the 1,600 metre race behind Daytona Bay, Sea Raider and the Eleonora. So he's the possible improver. I think he gets a gear change there. But I thought this race was completely wide open, and I thought Red Top should nearly be favoured. I thought that the 550 is still worth taking, and I could see this horse starting around the $4 quote. 52 kilos, gets a better rider. Ange Jones will have it more forward, and the 1,800 metres at Gold Coast will be right to its liking, and it's absolutely D-Day for this horse, Red Top. So despite a jump in grade, I think it is knocking the door down and has got a big turn of foot to reel these in, and probably doesn't have to make an 800 metre run this time in to get the chocolates there. So I think Donnie's sort of half keen on as well. But I assume you boys haven't done the race, and the Kiss Some angle was probably the only one I wanted to pursue with you, Walty. But pretty steady race, and they're all sort of just going around in circles, those sort of horses. Puntingform.com.au is what I used to do the form, and I think that's the easiest next step transition into full-time punting. And I think you can check out some of those top 4 performers, little models, and you can sort of build your own algorithm in the puntingform.com.au software, and there's probably some really good tutorial videos on YouTube on how to use that. So make sure you give puntingform.com.au a chance. Donnie has had a couple of tough beats over the last couple of weeks, but if you're backing him, you'd be watching them go off, and you'd be half sort of chubbied up until the race unfolds, and then it's just an absolute car crash. But couple of agonising seconds for Donnie the last couple of weeks, but this week he's got a roughie out wide at the Goldie.
G'day, boys. Looks a tough card back at the Gold Coast, back on the grass track. Get them back on the pole. I don't know what they're doing, run them on the grass. The best bets, the value bet comes up in race 8, number 11, Mashani Suspect. So Mashani horse has been set for the race. It looks like it's going to run a strong 1,240 to 1, so I'm going to back that each way. Cheers, boys.
All right, nice and wide there. So 40s into $21 on the move, Mashani Suspect. There's about 6 Mashanis in the race, so nice and easy for us there. TopSport Steamers. Last week they had Mad Darcy in the first at Randwick, and then Another Will was a very, very easy watch at Flemington. So it was a good bet landed.
What does
there
he say to you physically, Another Will?
3,200 metre horse.
Just average? Yeah, but is he lazy?
No, he's
has
a
he
nice
got
type.
scope to improve?
Yeah, plenty of scope.
Yeah. He's a scary horse. Holy cow. He's
machine.
Not many horses can do what that horse can do.
All right, back to the Steamers. Flemington race 1, number 2, Hanchy, 300 at 750. One for the boys down in Melbourne.
I found this horse. I thought he was a good run last start. He didn't have a whole lot of luck to build his momentum. He's got a huge turn of foot. Some of his late punting form closing data in Perth has been huge. Like he's had some 11 above last 600. So you'd think the straight track would suit him. Heatchote has jumped out well and looks like he's here to play first up, but I thought this is definitely the danger at the price.
Gold Coast race 1, number 10. This is a horse that you might know, Walt. Plymont from the Chris Lee's yard. What's it doing sneaking up here? Last start, Grafton, maiden winner, and before then it run some sort of closing race at Taree in a maiden there. So
is it a Australian bloodstock horse? I don't know the horse.
In the orange with the black. So 650 into 460, barrier 3. It's against Flash Prince, Blue Ray, Luciana. I'd say that race is well and truly up for grabs. So might have to jump through a couple of replays there and see what the...
His horses usually measure up here, don't they?
Before.
Like the ones he pushes up here normally measure up.
Pretty steady, the 1,800 metre class 1 form up at the Goldie, I would have thought.
Even on a feature day, probably, yeah.
Yeah, anything can win those sort of races. Murray Bridge race 6, number 2 is the next one. big asterisks here whether the meeting will go ahead, maybe push to Sunday or even Monday, I'm hearing.
Because of heat?
Yeah, definitely very hot over there. Oh, no, the Dackings. That's why they're going to call the races off.
There's a bet there. Swiss Exile will win in that race. Thought he was good first up in the same race as Hanchy. Looks very well placed. If the meeting's on, I think he's worth backing for sure in that event.
Oh, well, Sunday or Monday, Swiss Exile is the way to play. But, yeah, I'd be betting $1.20 that they're not going to go ahead, or they'll have to follow Melbourne and go early in the morning. But Flemington Race 5, number 1, Imperatrice, 2,500 at Bob. So that's best of the best fluck or best tote. We've already covered that one off, so good luck to that
what
punter.
Price they get is going to be the most interesting part of that bet, I would imagine. It's going to be interesting, the betting.
Are we going to see $3? I'd suggest the big boys will say no, given it's got the picket fence. DK? Here's a good question for you, DK.
Oh,
Will
the
you get
inside
$3?
draws the concern for, I'd say, for it to see it. I don't think it'll get run much shorter. I think they prefer to draw ins, little crew down the straight, drawing in, I would have thought.
So will we see $3?
No.
Nico, no. DK?
$2.90.
Not quite.
This is like what's it goes to show? Price
is right.
I'm going $2.91.
All right. Back to you, DK. Aaron Bay was a nice little steamer last week, 70 to 440, just absolutely truckloaded late.
Quaddygate. The quaddie went from paying $600 to $1,800 because the other thing firmed in over the top of it. It was it was a pleasant surprise for a lot of people, I reckon, when the quaddie dividend jumped from $600 to $1,700.
We didn't know that. Oh, there you go. Something for the battlers. We finally got one out wide, Scoot, for finally. It's been a while since down one out wide.
Yeah. TK out wide.
Yeah, this is Ararat. There's no markets up yet, I assume. They go up 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. Ararat, race 1, number 1, barrier 1. Race 1, number 1, barrier 1, thing called Imminent Storm. Imminent Storm was, it was a good run on debut. It jumped and showed speed in its jump out of Camperdown, and then for some reason it was just out the back in a moderate run 1,000-metre race at Terang on debut, and big track and everything, and got just strung up behind them. And then just when she got clear at about 200, 150 out, just steamed to the line. So I wouldn't want to begin like that again, but I'm going back to its 2 previous jump outs that began and showed early speed. So gate 1 around Ararat's grouse, unless they completely torch the track over watering it. But you want to be drawn in and up around Ararat. It looks like a nice horse to me, Imminent Storm. So I expect it to be winning race 1 tomorrow, Ararat.
Did you see the stall meeting the other day?
Wow, what'd they do to the track there? They butchered it. I was doing the replays, and then I'm watching the stewards reports asking why are these things failing, and then they said the track's cast. Like it must have been so shifty.
The times were like it was a soft 7. It was about 35 degrees.
Yeah, it was one of those early starts, and so you just got to be careful these hot weather because they put a heap of water on the track. But all things being equal, barrier 1's the place to be at Ararat. I expect Imminent Storm, nice horse.
$3? Would they bet $3 or be evens? Or
I went to run the other day, ran 3rd. So no, it should be. I think there's
they'll bet something.
They'll bet something. Yeah, they'll bet something. I think there's a little bit of form in the race from exposed things, but this, geez, it was a good run. If everyone watches that video the other day, it's hard to not be taken by it.
All right, Ararat race 1, number 1, Imminent Storm. Jumps, wins, according to DK. That'll get everyone
get them going.
Poor old mum.
All up. Imminent Storm into amenable.
Pumped up. I need to do a multi-flare Friday into Saturday. Beautiful.
My poor old mum's cactus in the ground, but she nothing better she liked than barrier number to the horse number. So race 1, number 1, and then the race number as well, all in. Like she'd have her $4, like $2 each way on those. So wherever she is, she'll be on with your DK.
Right out, girl.
Like,
give it strength.
1-1-1.
Ascot race 1, number 1, Pearl Harvey.
1-1-1.
That used to be the go back in the old days when dacking was a popular thing to do.
Geez, we bookended with the show with dacking.
Honestly,
oh my God.
I think it's
remember when I was still allowed to manage jockeys, I used to try and get the boys to work in a word every now and then. And then I remember, was it like Mandarin or something? Yeah. I was trying to get them to say Mandarin. I think Tim and Josh both got it into a post-race interview, Mandarin. That feels like what we're doing here. That someone dared you to get dacking into the show.
I don't know how BZ. I was watching that first 4 the other night on that news show that they did, and I can't believe he keep a straight face. Like it's just so childish dacking.
I think BZ would have been a dacker in his time too.
Be the last time we ever see dacking in racing, I would have thought. Unless I get in the same enclosure as
It'll be 5 years
PVL.
before we
Because
see
they're going to
Tom
give
do
you
it
10
anyway.
years for it. I'm going to give him 10.
But maybe if I get an Everest runner, I might. If I win the Everest, I'll DAC PVL.
On the way there.
Yeah, the prize money might be able to pay for the flight, and that'll be the end of
held
me.
up.
I'll be banned from racing,
How gone
banished
are
for racing. No, we're completely gone. But hopefully there's a few winners there. And as I said, if you want the Mounting Yard Mail, make sure you get Nico's stuff for Flemington, Walt's Racing Watch, the Little Birdie Syndicate boys, if you want to bet in all sorts of tracks. Donnie's just sent through a bet for Dubbo, which is exciting. And make sure you capitalise on DK's Ararat tip and the multi there. So been a big show, great show, and hopefully a winning weekend for everyone. Thanks, guys, down in Melbourne. See you next week.